Hey everyone, real quick video tonight. Just wanted to react to this Lulzy video that George just posted. And there's several things I want to say, but first off, I just want to play a clip just to give everybody a point of reference. Here we go.
You know there's a law in place that you have the right to ask the judge to step down and recuse themselves from the case if you believe that they have any bias against the case or any special.
Yep, you can
You have every right to, if you have that proof, you can bring it up to higher above this judge. I don't know who you are, but I'm gonna spill your secrets.
Well, that's what you do.
You can go above his head to the Supreme Court or to any higher than him, and you can have your case heard. If somebody does see that there's clear defamation, not only will he get in trouble, but they might ask him to step down from the bench as well.
Well,
because he's obviously got a bias. If it's there, it's there.
This judge said point blank that his show, or my show, was not a masterpiece theater by any means, or low-budget work or low-budget show.
What's one person's trash is another person's trash.
And then he said in the same breath, he compares it to a low level of Wayne's World and Beavis and Butthead. Well, now I take that as a compliment.
That's a compliment.
I take that.
Yes. Thank you so much. Are you kidding me?
A low-budget Beavis and Butthead and Wayne's World. I take that as...
Everyone loves Wayne's World.
I take that as a compliment.
Wow, what to even say about this? First off, it's so amusing. I'm no lawyer myself, but I do know enough about the law. My best friend is a lawyer, went to one of the best law schools in the country. And so it's been great. So much fun showing him what's going on with the Gorgeous George case and getting his take on everything. It's been a blast. The last 7 or so years that all this has been going on. So I think I have a little bit of a different perspective than a lot of people. And so when I watch these kinds of videos and see people that obviously have no idea what they're talking about, it's hilarious. So for this stripper, I love that this stripper is giving George advice. And here's the funny thing. He knows even less about the law than she does. Yes, she's gravely mistaken, and I think maybe a couple things she's saying have a basis sort of in reality, but the way she's explaining them are just way off base, much the same as George. But even still, she has a better grasp on the courts and the court system, the judicial system, than George does. And now we get to finally see George address what to me was maybe the funniest thing to ever come out of any of his court cases, which would be the judge ruling in his court that George's TV show is not exactly masterpiece theater. And that to me is just so deliciously funny because he's railing against it, and you can tell he's offended. He's pissed off. He can't believe that Judge Gibney would say this about his show. But it's what everybody else says. He has no audience. The audience is the goons. And one of the reasons the goons have prevailed time and time again is because, despite the fact that George says he's a private person, if you have a show and you inject yourself into the spotlight and you try and put yourself out there, you become a public figure. This is exactly why the judge is not siding with George in these harassment and defamation claims, because he is a public figure. At one time, as we've all said before, George had millions of views on the internet of his show. Millions of people have watched the Suck series, and George to this day continues to put his show out there, continues to post his show on the internet. You can't have it both ways. You can't be both a private person and hosting a show that millions of people have seen. And yes, millions of people have not seen his TV show. They've only seen the clips on the internet. And honestly, as we would probably all agree, those are the only clips worth watching. But yeah, so that's why George has not been successful. That's why those the harassment and defamation claims and libelous claims have been thrown out is because he is a public figure. I've said this for years now, and this is why the judge is making this ruling. Going back to George complaining about being named not exactly Masterpiece Theater, my favorite thing about this is that he says that being compared to Beavis and Butthead is a compliment. But here's the funny thing. The judge did not compare George and his show to Beavis and Butthead. He compared the antics of Will Markland and Sean Brennan to Beavis and Butthead. They got that comparison because what they do, unlike what George does, is fucking funny. They provide actual amusement, and anybody that watches George's show is just waiting for a meltdown, like when he sang that song and forgot the words and his phone rang, or they're waiting for the phone to ring and for him to pick up and get insulted. That's it. There's nothing else. No one else is watching this show hoping to hear George's gems of wisdom, and the reason is they don't exist. So I just wanted to make this quick video. George getting legal counsel from a stripper and then admitting that the judge literally ruled in his courtroom that his show sucks. The judge literally ruled in his courtroom that the show sucks. If I wasn't so lazy, and if I had a little bit more time, I would have a screen capture of exactly what was said in that show, or in that ruling by the judge. But I'm too lazy. I don't give a fuck. And this is the captain, and I'm signing off.